This is the Chappell Real Estate Show, episode number 31.
Welcome to the Chappell Real Estate Show, your source for the latest real estate information so you can buy, sell, and invest with the best in Texas. Whether you're a first-time buyer, a current homeowner, or a seasoned investor, you've come to the right place. We're here to simplify all things real estate so you can achieve your goals of property ownership with your hosts, Daniel and Roger Chappell.
What's up, listeners, and thank you guys for tuning into the Chappell Real Estate Show, your source for the latest real estate information so that you can learn how to buy, sell, and invest with the best. I'm your host, Daniel Chappell, joined with my co-host, Mr. Roger Chappell today. How's it going, Dad?
It's going great. How's everybody doing today?
Oh, it is a beautiful day. We've got some great weather. Got to enjoy some nice hot summer weather coming in this week. So I'll be spending a lot of time in the water. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but so today we're going to be bringing a little bit of fun information for you guys. So number one, we're going to talk about the market statistics. So the Austin Board of Realtors has released its statistics for the month of July. So we're going to go over some of those for you guys today. In addition to that, we're going to talk about some of the fun places to hang out in Williamson County. So we've been living here Dad's been in the area about 5 years. I'm brand new to Williamson County, but been around the area for quite some time. So there's a lot of great things to do. There's a lot of great things that Central Texas has to offer. So we're going to talk about some of the best for you guys today. But first, Dad, what is today's Chappell Chunk for our listeners?
Today's Chappell Chunk is about the market outlook. If you've got questions about today's market, by all means, please reach out to us. Remember, the market is constantly changing, and you really do need to get professional advice from a true professional about what the market conditions are, where they're headed, and that sort of thing. So, again, just a very simple Chappell Chunk for today.
Awesome. No, that is absolutely a great one. So, hey, like we've said before, always make sure you know who you're sourcing your information from. And I like to say we're some of the best.
I'd hope so, yeah. We put a lot of time and effort into it.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into some of the statistics that we have for the month of July. So we're going to talk about this. We're just me and my dad are going to have a little bit of an open discussion about this because we've got two different data sources that we're pulling from. I'm looking at the Austin Board of Realtors report that shows basically the statistics for the month of July, and I'm looking at them as they were compared to June, so just a month ago. Whereas my dad is looking at a report that was provided to him by Independence Title Company that compares year over year from last year in July to this year in July. So we're just going to kind of have a little bit of an open discussion about what some of these numbers mean. I'm going to throw some statistics at my dad and we're just going to kind of talk about it. So the number one thing that I want to talk about first off, because I feel like it's going to be something that's going to be shocking to a lot of people, is the median sales price in Williamson County was $450,000 last month. And this month, it has gone down to $445,000. So, Dad, what does that mean?
So, if you recall, we've been talking about this in a couple of episodes. And, I have this conversation all the time with sellers and buyers. And the buyers right now are still in a little bit of shell shock because they're having to present offers so much over listing price in order to get the home. Well, that's in the past now. So, over the past month or so, we've started to see a little bit of change in that dynamic. So now the price points have jumped, and now we're not seeing so many offers come in on one particular property. So I think there's a couple of reasons why that's happened. Number one is that a lot of the folks that were in the frenzy to buy just a few weeks ago have most likely either already bought or decided to rent for a little while just to give the market a chance to settle down. That's number one. Number two, the price point had jumped so much that a lot of buyers got scared off, and because of that, they're not going to pay, an additional 20% over a property that just 6 months ago was priced $100,000 below what it is today, and that is a realistic statistic that I'm throwing at you right there. So now what we're seeing is that homes are listed where they should be for today's market, and we're starting to go back and see the same trend that I was using, or same strategy that I was using a year ago. Whereas we'll go in and we'll try to negotiate some price a little bit below the listing price. Now, with that said, these homes are still selling usually right around the listing price. So they may go for a little bit cheaper, they may go for a little bit more, but the vast majority of homes right now are selling for around the listing price. So no longer are we seeing that 15, 20, 25% above the listing price. So I think those days are pretty much gone for right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And something I kind of want to just highlight is that we're talking about the numbers for Williamson County. That last statistic was for Williamson County. Something that's kind of interesting is the further you move away from the, Austin proper, the more these numbers kind of start to change a little bit. So in the Austin area, the average sales price last month was $575,000. This month, it is $574,975. So it is down only $25 from last month. So, Dad, what do you think that means?
Pretty much the same thing it means in Williamson County. It's still going down. So we're still seeing prices or homes sell for around the listing price. So now I think the days of where they've gone for dramatically above listing price are over. I know talking to other listing agents and other brokers, they're not receiving as many offers on properties as they were in the past. So, we were getting 15 to 20 offers on properties, and now we're getting somewhere around 2 or 3. And most of them are going for around the listing price. Now, with that said, I don't want buyers to get the misconception that this market is changing to a buyer's market. That is not true. It is still an extremely strong seller's market. So when you're submitting your offer, you really do need to make your offer very attractive, because you're most likely still going to be involved in a multiple offer situation, just not against 15 or 20 or 30 other offers where you're going to have this huge bidding war. It's no longer going to be the huge bidding war, but there is going to be some competition between your offer and probably someone else's, maybe 2 other offers.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's actually a really good segue into the next thing that I want to talk about, and that's months of inventory. So real quick, before we get into the stats, Dad, remind our listeners, why is months of inventory important, and what does it mean in relation to it being a buyer's or a seller's market?
So the months of inventory is extremely important for us, especially in real estate as professionals, and that the lower that number is, the stronger the seller's market is. The higher that number is, the more it starts to turn the tide a little bit into the buyer's favor. So what I mean by that is when we have an extremely low, and we're still at historic low rates right now, when we have the inventory being less than a month, then it's still an extremely strong seller's market. And the reason being is that we still don't have enough inventory to match the demand. But when we start to see that rise to somewhere around 3 months, that's when you'll start, the inventory being around 3 months, that's when you're going to start seeing it level out to the buyer and seller being able to negotiate that out.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for clearing that up. So with that being said, last month in June, the months of inventory was at about 0.7 months. So this month, we've seen a little bit of an increase. It's at 0.9 months. So to my dad's point, less than 3 months is still a very, very, very strong seller's market. We still don't have even 1 month of inventory on the market. So Dad, kind of elaborate on that for us.
Yeah, so I've mentioned before that we need listings, and the reason we need listings is to try to help stable this out. There's only one true way to manage this market as a buyer or a seller, and that is inventory. And to be honest, as a buyer or a seller, that is completely out of your control. You have nothing whatsoever to be able to add to that. If you want to list your house, you can. Obviously, we'll take that listing all day and every day, because I know that we have buyers lined up that are willing to buy your particular property. But it's not just 1 or 2 or 3 or 5. I mean, we need lots of inventory. So one of the things that we are starting to see is a lot of new home builders are now adding more inventory to the market. So now when you take that mix in, and mind you, the statistics that we're looking at now come directly off MLS. A lot of these new home sales consultants and the new home builders, they have their own inventory list, and their inventory list is not always on MLS. You know, a number of times as a realtor, I will take a buyer in to see a particular property, and I'll take them because of something that I found on MLS, but that's not what they're going to wind up buying. They're going to wind up buying something that is not on MLS, and that's out of that builder's inventory. So they have a separate inventory than what we do. But even the new builders are starting to increase their inventory, and we're beginning to see that appear on MLS as well. So on MLS, it encompasses not just resale, but also new home sales.
Yeah, thank you. That is a really good explanation, and that's something that we definitely need to qualify, because, yeah, these numbers are only based on resale, some new, but mostly resale that has been sold through the MLS agent to agent. So thanks for clarifying that for our listeners. Okay, so Dad, I saw a pretty interesting stat here. It shows that the total sales dollar volume for July in 2020 for the Austin and Round Rock MSA, the whole Austin area, was 2.03 billion. For this year, it's 2.4 billion. So that's a huge difference. So Dad, what does that mean?
Well, that just shows that for the month of July, the sales volume itself increased. But one of the stats that jumped out at me that was even more compelling, that I think shows a better snapshot of what happened over the past 6 months, is the total sales volume from year to year. So in 2020, from January 1st until the end of July, our sales volume was 9.5 billion. You take a look at 2021, and from January 1st, 2021 to the end of July of 2021, it's 14.2 billion. So what that is a 49% increase in sales volume. But single family homes in July of 2020 was 4,440. In July of 2021, it was only 3,697. Here's another statistic for you. From January until July in 2020, the total number of homes, single-family homes sold, was 21,238. For this year, from January until the end of July, was 22,750. So that's only a 7% increase in the total number of sales. But when you're looking at the sales volume, that's the price of how much those homes sold. It's a 49% increase. What that tells me is that our price on these homes took a dramatic jump this year. So when you compare that year to year, our numbers are pretty similar. We still have a larger number of sales this year as opposed to last year. But what we're seeing now is the price point as well. The price point has made a dramatic jump.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a big reason why real estate has taken off so much this year. It's interesting to see how this dynamic plays out across the country, but this is happening everywhere.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. This is not exclusive to the Austin area. We may be reading stats from the Austin area, but talking with realtors from across the country, it's the same just about everywhere. It's truly amazing, and I think we can actually say that the pandemic has been a big help in this, and a lot of that has to do with people saved during the pandemic. Even though they weren't working, they had to save, and now that with this Delta variant allegedly going around, and we're seeing an increase in some of these cases, then we may see this change just a little bit more. But I think people have had enough of being sequestered into their homes and are now ready to start doing some different things, and buying homes seems to be the best way to do that. Additionally, with inflation doing what it's doing right now, as you and I have spoken about before, your best hedge against inflation is what? Real estate. And I think people are taking heed to that advice and purchasing real estate as a consequence of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we've mentioned many times before, it's about time. It's a really, really great thing that this is happening. I've been a big believer in real estate, and I think it should be in everybody's portfolio. So yeah, I think you're right. That's a very accurate assessment of what I think is happening in the market.
Yep.
All right, so now that we've touched on all of our statistics for the day, let's start talking about the fun stuff. So Dad, what are some of the things that you like to do around the Georgetown and the Williamson County area? I know you and I have very different tastes, so what are some of your fun things to do around here?
Yeah, so I actually enjoy going on some of the nature walks and nature hikes around Georgetown. We've got Lake Georgetown, and there's a dam there and everything, and some of the rivers that break off from there run into the San Gabriel River. There's tons of bike and hiking trails and all that, so I enjoy doing that on occasion. Of course, we've got several parks. One of my favorite parks is here in Georgetown called Gary Park, and I've taken you folks out there once before. And of course, there's a charge to get in. And it's not much. I can't remember what it is, like $12
it's like
or
$5
something.
or $10. It's nothing crazy, and it's a beautiful park.
Yeah, it was reasonable. Of course, they have a really nice walking trail all around the park. Runs right up to the San Gabriel River, so that was gorgeous. A lot of wildlife out there, a lot of birds, so that's another thing. For people who are into bird watching, I'm telling you, Georgetown and, Central Texas in general is really good for bird watching. And I've seen everything out here from various types of hummingbirds to finches to turkey, wild turkey, roadrunners, of course, and you name the birds, they're out here. There's all kinds of them. So we have Zilker Park down in Austin, which is pretty cool. You know Zilker Park.
Oh, I'm a big fan of Zilker Park. So Zilker Park is where they have the ACL music festival every year. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff to do down there. Zilker Park is really cool pretty much year round because you've got the Lady Bird Lake that runs right up next to it. There's tons of, I mean, literally people line that park all day long. There's a car wraparound that I swear has traffic in it 24/7. I mean, it is just crazy. There's always people there. Everybody just gathering around playing, those kind of backyard games and that kind of thing. It's a lot of fun over there.
Yeah, that's a great park, man. I love going over there.
Yeah, another one of my favorites is Brushy Creek. Me and my fiance love going out there. They've got the paddle boarding and all kinds of stuff. A lot of trail systems that run around it as well. So that one's a really cool spot as well.
So if I understand you right, if you like doing things outdoors, Williamson County is a pretty good place to do it.
Yeah, I would say Central Texas has got a lot to offer in the way of outdoors. That is for sure.
Absolutely. The hills and all the lakes and the trails and all, yeah, I mean, we could talk about it for days.
Oh, we could. I know that even one of my favorite views, I used to work in Northwest Austin back when I used to live down in Kyle, and I had about an hour and 20-minute commute. And I remember just going up the 360 highway and crossing over Pennybacker Bridge that goes over the Colorado River. I mean, some of the most gorgeous views. I not once ever had to complain about that drive because it was beautiful. How could you complain?
Yeah, even with all the rooftops over there, that's still an absolutely gorgeous drive. And of course, our background on our logo and team photo and all that for a long time was that bridge. So, yeah, you're right. That's an absolutely gorgeous area over there.
Yeah, love it. But not just that. I mean, Central Texas has more to offer than just the scenery, although that is a big, big plus. So, Dad, what are some of your favorite, restaurants and some of those kinds of things around?
Well, restaurants, man, there's a bunch of restaurants. Of course, I stay right around here in Georgetown and Round Rock area predominantly. But one of my favorite steakhouses, believe it or not, isn't in Williamson County. It's down in Austin. It's Bob's Steakhouse. Great, great, great steak. If you like steak, you got to do Bob's. It's truly one of the best places in Texas. And I'm a steak connoisseur. I loved Bob's Steakhouse. Then, of course, there's Jack Allen's Kitchen in Round Rock. Love Jack Allen's. It's farm to table restaurant. Lots of good cuisine there. You can't get a bad plate in there. It's really good food. Then, of course, one of my favorite places here in Georgetown is Blue Corn Harvest. Blue Corn Harvest is fairly new. It opened up probably 6 or 8 months before the pandemic hit, maybe a year before the pandemic hit. So last year, of course, they took a beating, but I took him on there Friday night, and we had just a fantastic meal. Service was fantastic. We had to wait a while to get in there, but that's to be expected at Friday evening. It's probably a 30, 40-minute wait, but it was definitely worth it. The food was really, really good. Enjoyed that place. And, of course, you know me and fajitas.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love the fajitas. Man, there's a few different places. Moss Fajitas is a really good one that I'm pretty sure is local to just the Austin area. But, I mean, one of our family favorites that got started in Houston and made its way out to the Austin area is Lupe Tortilla. So I don't care where you are. If you've got a Lupe Tortilla near you, you've got to check them out.
Absolutely. It's funny. I love telling the story about Lupe Tortilla because, back in the 90s not long after you were born, actually, and probably before then, your mom and I started going to the original in Houston, over on the west side of Houston. And at that time, it was the only one. And it was it looked like a little old small house. So, all the restaurants that you see now, they kind of look like a house. Well, it's based on that particular location. And they always had this outdoor sandy area for the kids to play in, and you kids used to love doing it. And of course, they did so well, they wound up expanding, and now they've got Lupe Tortillas all over the place. But the one thing that hasn't changed is the recipe on their beef. It is unbelievable. Truly, truly special.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I literally, anytime somebody tells me they like Mexican food and they're in this area, I'm like, oh, you want some of the best fajitas you've ever had in your life? Lupe Tortilla. They've got their recipe figured out.
Of course, now you have one around the corner from your house.
I know, and that's what I was going to say next. So for me, I'm out in the Leander area. So I'm still in Williamson County, just on the border of Cedar Park and Leander on the northwest side of Austin. And we have two shopping centers right next to us. One that's called The Park, and the other one, I wish I could remember what it is, but it escapes me right now. And I mean, these two are right off of 183, super easy access. And every single shop in there is amazing. I mean, literally, I'll show up there at 11 a.m. on Sunday, spend the whole day shopping, have lunch and dinner and everything. I mean, they have a little bit of everything. Some of your favorite burger places, namely my favorite is Hop Dotty. Love it. They've also got, as you mentioned, Lupe Tortilla, Chewy's restaurant right next door. If you're looking for something a little more fast casual, Freebirds, Chipotle, Potbelly. I mean, literally, we've got everything in this area, and it's dangerous. I'll tell you, it is dangerous.
Yeah, no kidding. It's not good for the waistline. One of the other things that I love to do is I enjoy baseball. I've always been a big baseball fan. And of course, now we have the Round Rock Express, which is right down the road here in Round Rock. And the Round Rock Express is the AAA farm club for the Texas Rangers. Interesting story about the Round Rock Express is that they used to be the AAA team for the Houston Astros, which, I'm a huge fan of the Astros and always have been. So I was disappointed when they left Houston and went to Texas. They came back to Houston for a little while, and now they're back to the Texas Rangers again. But and now that the pandemic has done what it's done, we still have it's open to the public, so we can now start taking in some of those games again, which is great. And that ballpark is right across the street from Kalahari. I haven't been able to go into Kalahari just yet, but it's one of the largest water parks. In fact, I think it may be the largest water park in Texas right now. And it has a huge convention center and hotel that's part of it. Just a gorgeous facility, fantastic. They've already had a number of conventions there, including the Rotary Club, for which I'm a part of, has had one of their events there as well. So it's just a fantastic place.
Yeah, indoor water park. We've heard great reviews. I know my nephews have both been there, and they have nothing but great things to say about it. They had a blast there, so it's definitely something worth checking out and taking the kids out to. So another one of the main things that Austin is really known for, and I won't even say just Austin, it's really a Texas thing, but it's the barbecue. So barbecue is phenomenal out here. I will say, I think my favorite in this area, and it's not in Austin proper, it's actually a little bit southeast of Austin in Lockhart, but it is called Kreitz Barbecue. Spelled a little weird. Creuz, I believe. It's German, but phenomenal. Dry barbecue is their specialty. No barbecue sauce. They put it on the table, but it's insulting if you use it. So phenomenal barbecue. You definitely have to check that place out. Dad, what's one of your favorite barbecue places out here?
Oh, you just hit it on the head. I've been there a couple of times, and I love that place. Austin has a couple of places, and for the life of me, I can't remember the names of them. I've been to only two, but I know in both places the lines were extremely long, and to me, it's Texas barbecue. That's just what we get used to, waiting in a long line and eat good barbecue. So
I'm going to guess that it was probably Black's and Valentino's?
Black's,
maybe?
Yes. I don't know about Valentino's. I can't remember for sure.
Okay, because Valentino's is another one that is a really, really good one. Supposedly, I haven't actually had it myself, but it's a little bit of a spin on Mexican-style barbecue, and I've heard it is phenomenal. La Barbecue is another one that I've heard is really good.
Yep, got a little spice to it. It's pretty good stuff. Yeah, and of course, Daniel, me being here in Georgetown, I always talk about the square in Georgetown. So a lot of people that aren't from Texas wonder, what is the square? Well, in Texas, back in the 1800s, when Georgetown was created in 1836, and the courthouse came not long after that. The courthouse is in the center of town, and literally the square is built around the courthouse. The courthouse was the center of downtown. So now we have all these businesses all around. There's a guitar shop, there's lots of arts and crafts places, there's a couple of wineries, there are several restaurants. So there's a couple of businesses there. There's the Georgetown Museum is there. So one of my favorite restaurants is Gumbo's. Love Gumbo's. It's really, really good Cajun spice food. Love that place. So there's another place called Mesquite Creek Outfitters. That's a pretty cool place. Very trendy. It's got craft beer, all kinds of different craft beers. Then you've got, they have clothing for sale in there. And the guys that run it are just fantastic people. Really, really good folks in there. Then just off the square, you've got a place called 600 Degrees Pizza. That pizzeria has been just phenomenal. It's amazing to me how much that little place has grown. They've got huge slices for a very reasonable cost. They used to have pork shanks, but since the pandemic, the pork shanks has kind of gone away. I don't know when they'll have them back.
And you know what I just learned about 600 Degrees is that they expanded their location last year, which we got to see, but I also found out they own Slapbox Pizza in Round Rock that is literally a spitting image of 600 Degrees in downtown Round Rock, and it is same exact menu, phenomenal food. So definitely, when you're in the area, that is one of the pizza places to check out.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned downtown Round Rock, because downtown Round Rock has a similar charm to Georgetown, but different. It's not quite a square, it's just a long strip with a bunch of old buildings and some really cool looking facades from some of these buildings and shops and restaurants. And there's some pretty good places there too. I can't remember the name of it. There's an Italian place that I ate at in fact, I took your grandmother there. Golly, man, it's been quite a while back, but that's a pretty cool little place too. And, there's more nightlife in Round Rock than there is in Georgetown. So a lot of young folks like to go down to Round Rock and, do the bars and nightclubs and that sort of thing.
That's true. I know when we spent that few months staying with you and Mom, we had to work to find something open past 9 o'clock in Georgetown.
Hey, we're a bunch of old people here.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up everything we had for our listeners today. Hopefully you got some value out of it. Hopefully if you find yourself in the Austin area, you've got a few things to do. And I hope that you reach out to us when you're here. We'd love to meet up with you. We'd love to get together and show you around to this beautiful town that we like to call home. So thank you guys so much for listening. Dad, you got any closing thoughts for our listeners?
I do. And what is that going to be?
Referrals, referrals, referrals.
We've got them for you. Just contact us. We'll be happy to help you out. Of course, we're here for all your real estate needs, but we're not here just for your real estate. Obviously, we know our restaurants, we know our parks, we know some of the activities to do around town. So if you're here just for a visit, by all means, reach out to us. We can kind of guide you in the right places to go and see.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys again for spending this time with us. We will see you guys on next week's episode. In the meantime, don't forget to leave us a review. Send this episode to your friends and family, anybody you know who might be making their way out to the Austin area. We would love for them to have a list of things to do. So enjoy, reach out to us if we can do anything to help, and we will see you on next week's episode. Y'all take care.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Chappell Real Estate Show. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and leave us a review. Find us on social media at Chappell Realty Group and online at chappellrealtygroup.com. Until next time.